Missouri Realtors. I am your 2023 president, Andrea Sheridan. And if you are as excited as I am for this week, give me a woo woo! I love it. Feels good for so many of us to be back together again after a successful spring business conference in Columbia. I'd like to give a special shout out to everyone joining us through the live stream as well. Hey friends. I would also like to welcome Southwest Missouri Realtors member Catherine Cole to the stage. Catherine will be leading us in this afternoon's national anthem. May we all please stand and turn your attention to the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 3404 for the presentation of colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Catherine, and a very special thank you to the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 3404. You may be seated. Before we kick off this afternoon's program, I would like to welcome Springfield Mayor Ken McClure to the stage. Mayor McClure, welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you. And on behalf of my colleagues on City Council and indeed the entire city of Springfield, I am most pleased to welcome you to Springfield. This is a very special time in our community. We like to say that we are a hub Right now, we have 45,000 college students in town between our 2 public and 2 private institutions. We are the home of the largest public school district in the state of Missouri, the Springfield Public Schools. We are a transportation hub. I-44 comes down here, 6513. We are the home of an airport that serves 1.3 million passengers a year and has 15 destinations. We're a business hub. Bass Pro, O'Reilly, Forvis, just to name a few. We're a not-for-profit, faith-based hub with the Assemblies of God being headquartered here. We're a tourism hub, and we have a very, very special event tonight in our city. Our Springfield Cardinals will kick off at 6:35, the playoff game for the North Division Championship of the Texas League against the Arkansas Travelers. If you're a baseball fan and want to get away, Hammonds Field would welcome you. And I will admit that I have a very special interest in that. I love baseball, but I also have a grandson who is a bat boy for the Cardinals. And he's working tonight. And I told him, I will trade jobs with you. And he said, well, that's cool. I get a good job either way. And I said, yes, but yours pays better than mine. We're so pleased that you're here, and we hope that you have time to enjoy the amenities of Springfield. We're excited about what's coming up this fall. I will tell you that around the 1st of December, the only Buc-ee's in the state of Missouri will open just a few miles from here. So make a point to come down somewhere around there. But seriously, welcome to our community. Thank you for what you're going to be doing. Thank you for the work that you do. We're excited to host you. And I think I think Erin Hervey is in the building. Is she here anywhere?
There she is.
Yes. Would you come up, Erin? We want to welcome you to Springfield. We're glad that you're here, and we have something very, very special for you right now.
Great.
I will just leave you with, go Bears.
Thank you, Mayor. We are thrilled to host this year's business conference here in Springfield. We have an exciting program for you today, so let's get this party started. First, I would like to welcome the Missourians for Fair Governance Grassroots Chairman, Matt Becker, and Missouri Realtors President-elect, Derek Schreiber, to the stage. And just Derek, and then you. I'm sorry, I messed it up. Missouri Realtors care deeply about protecting the citizens' initiative process to enact laws, having successfully promoted the 2010 prohibition of transfer taxes and the 2016 prohibition of sales tax on services. We have created the Missourians for Fair Governance Campaign Committee to monitor and respond to any 2024 legislative efforts to weaken this important right of citizens and protect majority rule. Please welcome Derek as he kicks this discussion off.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here with you here in the beautiful Missouri Ozarks. It's energizing to scan this big room and to see hundreds of realtors from across this wonderful state here for our common good. I'd like to talk with you for the next few minutes about a very important issue, an issue that goes to our core mission of advocacy. As Missouri Realtors, we know our history. As a state association, we go back to 1936, That's when individuals with vision came together to promote our profession and to serve as steadfast advocates for private property rights. These business competitors wisely recognized they shared common interests. They understood the power of speaking with a united voice that meant then, as it does today, robust advocacy for our critical priorities. It also means opposing bad policies and bad proposals. Nearly 88 years after our association's birth, advocacy remains our cornerstone. No statewide professional group has been more engaged than us in both witnessing history and being the shapers of history through advocacy. Our powerful advocacy toolkit includes the selective and strategic use of Missouri's citizen ballot initiative and referendum processes. In 2010 and in 2016, we were successful in proposing and promoting vital statewide ballot issues from the grassroots level. Through the initiative process, the citizens of Missouri hold the right and the power to make laws through direct citizen democracy. Because of the efforts of our members, our association is both experienced and successful in using this critical advocacy tool. Today, we want to tell you about a new Missouri Realtors campaign. It's being conducted through a new committee called Missourians for Fair Governance, or MFG for short. I am sharing this update in the interest of transparency, since this is the first major statewide realtor meeting since we formed MFG just last month. MFG's establishment and oversight has closely followed our association's required internal processes. We carefully assess every aspect of proposed policies, campaigns, and spending. That includes extensive review and discussion and authorization at multiple levels. We take this responsibility very seriously. MFG's mission is to protect and preserve Missouri's citizen ballot initiative process, which has served our state well for more than 100 years. And in a few minutes, MFG's grassroots chair, Matt Becker, will review how Missouri realtors have successfully exercised our citizen initiative petition rights in recent years. But I want to put this in a current context. There have been legislative proposals to weaken Missouri citizens' rights and access to direct democratic process. Fortunately for us, none of these bad ideas have made it through the legislature so far. But let me be clear. These proposals would make it harder and costlier for our association and our fellow citizens to practice direct democracy, as is our right and power today. Here is just one example. This year, Missouri House passed legislation asking voters to raise the threshold to pass a citizen ballot initiative from the current simple majority of 50% plus one to 60%. Let's just do the simple math here real quick. Under the language the House sent to the House sent to the Senate, 40.1% of the voters could overrule and deny the wishes of 59.9% of our fellow citizens. That is simply undemocratic. It amounts to politicians trying to get Missourians to voluntarily weaken their constitutional right to hold those same politicians accountable when we go around them to take citizen initiative directly to the ballot. Fortunately, This year's bad House legislation died in the Senate. But lawmakers will soon be back in Jeff City. It seems likely they will use last year's bad legislation as their starting point. That is why Missourians for Fair Governance will be focused like a laser on the General Assembly. If the legislature does send bad proposal to the ballot, we will be well positioned to lead a statewide coalition to overwhelmingly defeat it. To be clear, unlike in past years, MFG is not proposing a ballot measure for voter passage. We are educating, organizing, and building a new coalition to oppose any measure lawmakers may send to the 2024 statewide ballot for a vote. That, we believe, would undermine the citizen ballot initiative process. This is critical to our advocacy efforts, both today and in the future. And to expand on the story of realtors' commitment to advocacy, MFG has prepared a draft video presentation. Let's watch together.
Of liberty have risen in each generation of Americans. Individuals of courage who risked all to assert their right to self-determination. Leaders taking action that led to the creation of a nation like none before. Born of the precept that all men are created equal with God-given rights, they gave us a vision firmly establishing citizens as the ultimate power. Leaders in word and deed, Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Hamilton, Franklin, and Jay forged a constitution like none before, transcending the incertitude of the rule of man for the certainty of the rule of law. In the Constitution, they entrusted in us the tools of liberty to reign in government if it forgets that it's citizens who are in charge in America. In most states like Missouri, the initiative and referendum has proven to be a tool of liberty, allowing citizens to peacefully and effectively remind politicians that citizens remain the ultimate power of government. In Missouri, the initiative helped end the political corruption of the Pendergast machine. It gave women the right to vote and hold office, term-limited career politicians, banned lobbyist gifts to legislators, limited tax increases without a vote of the people. And in 2010 and 2016, Missouri's realtors were the individuals of courage, modern guardians of liberty, who were the leaders in action using the initiative petition to protect many Missourians' most valuable asset, their homes and real estate, from transfer taxes, and to protect their household budgets by banning new taxes on the services they use every day. Today, Missouri realtors are again answering the call to safeguard the tools of liberty and our right to vote entrusted to us by America's original founders. Powerful special interests working with some in the Missouri legislature are scheming to take away our power of the Citizen Ballot Initiative and to limit our voting rights. They want to make the citizen initiative process so expensive and difficult that it would only be possible for the richest out-of-state interests to use. Their agenda is clear. In the past couple of years, some in the legislature have used their power to try to put on the ballot a measure that would destroy our citizen initiative rights, thus eliminating our ability to bypass politicians and make laws directly when they fail to act in our interests. Knowing that Missourians would never approve a straight-up vote on that scheme, they seek to hide their poison pill inside a law with some popular ideas. That's wrong. But without the leadership of Missouri realtors, they could succeed. Missouri realtors, leaders in their communities across the state, are answering the call to save this highly effective and vital tool. It's a constitutional tool that Missouri realtors and others have employed to safeguard citizen control and our voting rights. In the coming days, Missouri realtors must fully engage to stop any scheme to give politicians more power by taking power away from us. We must protect our constitutional voting rights. The initiative process is not partisan. It's worked in Missouri for more than a century. It's not tied to any short-sighted political agenda. The Citizens Ballot Initiative is a constitutional right and vital tool Missourians own to ensure citizens remain in charge and remain able to achieve their own unique vision of the American dream.
That's an inspiring look at the core of what we do as realtors. We are here helping our Missouri neighbors through strong advocacy. Many of you will be visiting the Capitol next session as we attend our Realtor Days. And of course, you'll be talking with your local lawmakers when they're back home in your areas. When you do, we want you to be well informed when you discuss the risks of weakening our rights to the citizen ballot initiative process. MFG will keep you posted through regular Capitol updates, as well as calls for fast action if needed. When the legislature adjourns next May, we will carefully analyze where the issues stand, but now is the time to educate, to reach out, to organize, and to prepare. That way, we will be ready. Our motto for political advocacy is simple: vote, act, invest. Of course, realtors are incredibly reliable voters. As for the invest part, we've certainly invested a lot of time and our money in protecting property rights and promoting the realtor brand. Now, Missourians for Fair Governance represents the act in our winning formula of vote, act, and invest. At this time, I want to introduce Matt Becker from St. Charles, who has been appointed the Grassroots Chair of Missourians for Fair Governance. Matt has some important history for you all to consider and more about how you can play an important role in our statewide grassroots effort. Matt.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Derek. We all appreciate your leadership on this critical issue, and we know it will be a priority during your tenure next year as our state president. As Missouri Realtors, we are 26,000 members strong, the largest statewide professional association in Missouri, including 31 local boards and associations. Realtors are in every community and in every county, every legislative district, and every congressional district. Missouri Realtors are the very definition of grassroots. That's because we are Missouri, from border to border. Across our large membership, individuals hold many views and diverse perspectives, but we should agree that Missouri Realtors and our fellow citizens must retain our full current direct democracy rights. This right has been exercised very effectively by our association to benefit the people of Missouri. In 2010, Missouri Realtors established the state campaign committee, Missourians for Fair Taxation. We proposed and promoted Amendment 3, which prohibited transfer taxes on real property transactions. We built a diverse statewide coalition that donated money, resources, people, and connections to our shared cause. And we won it with our ground game and our grassroots energy. Together, we put 2010's Amendment 3 into the Missouri Constitution with a staggering 83.7% yes vote. That overwhelming victory won lots of new respect for Missouri Realtors in Jefferson City. And then in 2016, Missouri Realtors once again engaged to protect Missourians through the citizen ballot initiative process. Missourians for Fair Taxation proposed and promoted Amendment 4, prohibiting sales taxes on services we all rely on every day, including the services of realtors. Again, we built and led a statewide coalition. In 2016, nearly 57% of Missouri voters approved Amendment 4. Once again, Missouri Realtors led the way in advocacy. These campaigns took tremendous and sustained outreach and organization to deliver our wins. They each cost our coalitions several $1 million to achieve victory. But the protections that we proposed and that voters put into the Constitution have spared Missourians from the risk of hundreds of millions of dollars in new taxes. in those two previous campaigns, we overwhelmingly heard from realtors was that the fights were worth it and we prevailed. And we are proud as realtors to have led the way. Missouri realtors have been here before. So what are we asking of you now? First, we respectfully ask our state directors to be active back home in conversing with your local lawmakers, using the resources and tools to be provided by the MFG. And please participate in Realtor Days at the Capitol next year. Your local lawmakers will be key contacts for our successful mission. Your lawmakers need to hear from you with the right message at the right time to let them know about your support for direct democracy. Second, we would like your help in identifying fellow realtors who would be energetic local MFG coordinators in every county to help with the grassroots organizing. For these local coordinators, this is a great leadership opportunity at both the community and the state levels. Third, we are assembling a terrific team to help lead, coordinate, advise, and execute MFG's strategies and outreach. We ask that you work with our campaign team, both our member leaders and our consultants. Let them help you. They'll be reaching out to schedule informational, networking, and advocacy sessions for a variety of audiences, both in person and online. And fourth, we will be distributing informational materials about the importance of preserving and protecting our direct democracy rights. This week, look for this our handy one-pager filled with basic information. Should be on some of your seats now. And we will be asking for your energetic help in getting our future materials out to the widest and most influential local audiences. At this time, I would like to take a minute to recognize the chairman of Missourians for Fair Governance, Larry Keating of Jefferson City, and our former state association president. Larry, would you please stand? Larry served as a leader of Missourians for Fair Taxation in our two previous winning campaigns. He has agreed to chair MFG because Larry knows how valuable the Citizen Ballot Initiative right has been for our association. I'd also like to acknowledge two of MFG's veteran campaign consultants who will be in Springfield this week with us. One is here this afternoon. If I could ask Scott Sharton to please stand up, our MFG Communications Director and statewide media spokesman. Many of you know Scott and have been well trained by Scott in communications over the years. Scott and our general consultant, David Barkledge, and Larry Keating will be joining us at several committee meetings throughout the week. Importantly, we have scheduled an informational session devoted to Missourians for Fair Governance campaign. It will be held tomorrow morning at 9:15 in the Sahara Room, right here in the Oasis Conference Center. At this meeting, you'll then have the opportunity to ask questions and learn much more about what you can do to help. Finally, I want to close with something that is not new, but it has tremendous, enduring significance in our business. We learned very early in this business that real estate is a reputation business. What you do today may affect your reputation and business for years to come. As Missouri Realtors, we take a similar long view of our common mission and legacy. We believe that to make permanent structural change in a system that has worked for more than a century, just for some perceived short-term political advantage, is woefully short-sighted. Political, structural, social, cultural issues come and go, and so do politicians. But our rights and power as citizens endure so long as we work to protect them. And please know, our engagement on this issue is simply about preserving Missourians' right to citizen democracy. It is not a statement or a position on any other issue. The legacy and commitment of realtors, all of us, is to do our utmost to protect and help Missourians. Because after all, we're their neighbors, and good neighbors always do the right thing. Please take time this week in the various sessions to learn more and think about how you can contribute to this advocacy campaign. Remember, vote, act, and invest. Please stay tuned as we'll have much more to share in the weeks ahead on this important issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt and Derek and the entire MFG team. Thank you for sharing that insightful information. Next, I am pleased to welcome our next speaker, Ken Sanderman, director with APCO Worldwide, focuses on message development, crisis planning, media relations and strategies, leadership transitions, and issues management. Today, Ken will share a brief overview of the seller class action lawsuit litigation that the National Association of Realtors is defending, the impact it could have on the way you communicate with your clients, and what we as realtors can do in advance of the upcoming trial in Kansas City. Join me in welcoming Ken Sanderman to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for fitting me into your very packed agenda here. So I'm going to jump right in because I only have about 15, 20 minutes and really want to get into some of the explanation here. So just to start us off with, going to go through a brief overview of the litigation, like we said, talk about the impact that it's going to have for consumers, for MLSs, for brokerages, get into a little bit of what you can do and some of the storytelling that, some advice that might help you out with that, and ultimately some resources that are available for you to again, help with it. So just to go into a little bit of background about the litigation, really, I think what I want to start with is just that there's a lot of misinformation and mischaracterization about what's happening out there. And so you'll see that kind of as a theme as we move through some of these here. So the background for this case, if you're not really aware, about 4 years ago, NAR and 4 corporate defendants, 4 brokerages, were named as defendants in this lawsuit. There's one known as Burnett v. NAR, and one Merle v. NAR. Burnett's in Kansas City, Missouri, so obviously that one probably you're more familiar with. That one's also starting very soon. They both have basically the same allegations that commissions are too high, that there's no negotiating commissions, and that NAR rules are anti-competitive or otherwise preventing the negotiation of commissions. Obviously, NAR disagrees with that. The 4 corporate defendants as well also disagree with that. We'll get into some of the explanation in a minute, but I guess just for starters, I would say it's very easy to come in and criticize a system that you don't understand or that you are intentionally trying to misrepresent for your own benefit, right? But again, you all being the experts here, you understand how the way that commissions are paid benefits consumers, benefits buyers and sellers, and we'll go into, again, some messages and some tools that can help you explain that out if you're not already. So what is NAR doing to prepare legally? First, you really need to know that the litigation does move very slowly. Like I said, these lawsuits were filed 4 years ago. The Merle case is moving even more slowly than Burnett. So Merle, there hasn't really even been a trial scheduled yet. In Burnett, the trial is scheduled to start on October 16th. So all that to say, even though the trial is scheduled, and there will be, it is a jury trial, it's a class action lawsuit, the class is already established. The ultimate decision is likely to result in an appeal, and the ultimate decision then will take probably a few years down the road here. So we're trying to be as proactive as we can, really looking to talk about the benefit that consumers will receive from working with realtors, how local broker marketplaces benefit consumers, and I'll pause on that term for a second. You'll probably hear me say local broker marketplaces a few times. Obviously, you're all familiar with MLSs. You probably too know that consumers typically don't understand what an MLS is. They tend to think of Major League Soccer before they think of multiple listing service. So So we have started using the term local broker marketplace. We feel like it's on its face, it's a little bit more descriptive to a consumer of what it is. As you're having conversations with consumers, use what you're most comfortable with. Just the important thing is that they understand what it is that you're talking about. If you say we're going to put the house on the MLS, or we're going to look at what listings are available on the MLS in a local broker marketplace, which is a little bit of a mouthful, as you'll hear too. Let's see. So some of the key points that we're making here. Like I talked about, we really want to focus on realtor value and the way that local broker marketplaces benefit consumers. So that's everything from how realtors are putting consumers' interests first, right? That's part of the code of ethics. We look at how NAR rules and guidelines are promoting competition, and they're really ultimately pro-consumer. And again, we'll go into some details here in a second here. We talk about how compensation is set between the particular client and the broker or the agent that they're working with, and that is negotiable. And also, like I said, really the value of working with a realtor. I think one of the main arguments and one of the main messages that you hear the plaintiffs put out there is, that there's not really any value in working with a realtor anymore because we have all the houses on Zillow, consumers can find what they need, and they don't need to work with a realtor anymore. Obviously, we all know that that's not the case, but we also don't want to be taken for granted, right? And so we want to really go out there and explain our value, and you'll see some of the resources that we have here in a sec. So what are we doing to address some of that confusion that I mentioned earlier? Obviously, I talked a little bit about some of the messages that we have that we've been putting out there, but also I think it's just important to call out a lot of the different things that we've been doing. So obviously talking to media, when we talk about our real estate media in particular, those those sites that are really talking to you as an audience, we're engaged with them very, very often. It's a little bit of a delicate balance, though, because for the most part, this issue is not something that consumers or really anybody outside of real estate understands at even at a basic level. It does require a lot of nuance and explanation. So there is a balance between very, very intentionally correcting misinformation, addressing claims that are made against us, but also not really trying to raise awareness amongst audiences that just haven't really been paying much attention so far. Now that the trial is about a month away, you'll start to see a shift in that. There will be more communications around this. There's likely to be more media coverage, and that will be driven by just the fact that the trial is happening in Missouri, and media will start to take more interest in it. And also, frankly, if I were hired by the plaintiff's attorneys, I would be trying to get those media to write those kinds of stories. So you'll see that, but like I said, on the counteroffensive, NAR has been engaging with media on many levels. Even most recent example yesterday, I don't know if Angie is in the crowd. You don't have to stand up or anything, but Angie Mullings did a great favor for us. Oh, over there. Thank you very much. Angie stood in for, I think, 8 Right TV and radio interviews in Kansas City, St. Louis, and Joplin, Missouri? Yep, okay. And just really going out there, like I was just talking about the value of realtors, giving expert advice, helping buyers and sellers navigate this market, because really that's what it's about. It's about showing that value. So thank you to Angie. That's one example. There's been other media tours like that, and like I said, in the next month or so, you will start to see a ramp up of additional things. There's also paid advertising campaigns that are very targeted. So understand that while you might not see them, of course, there are plans to put ads into the marketplace, particularly in Kansas City, for consumers who will need to be educated about this issue. Okay, so possible outcomes from this trial then. Obviously, everybody's hoping for just an outright win against the plaintiffs. That's not necessarily the most. We don't really know what's going to happen for sure. So. The other outcomes could be a monetary damages award against the defendants. There could be a zero damages award, but the judge could decide that this is not a practice. The practice of listing brokers making offers of compensation to buyer brokers is not a practice that he wants to see continue, so he could issue an injunction. Like I said before, the ultimate outcome here is most likely to be appealed regardless of which side wins, and that would happen very quickly. So while there will be, again, media coverage, there will be commentators in the industry who are going to immediately say, this is bad, this is good, here's what it looks like, there will be an appeal that most likely will nullify any immediate decision from the jury or from the judge. But again, we are trying to prepare for those different outcomes through educating media, through academic conversations, folks in the business and nonprofit communities as well. So knowing that there are a range of different outcomes, because what the judge could put into an injunction could also vary greatly as well, and the impact that it could have, whether it's locally, statewide, national, varies a lot. It's kind of too much to go into every single possible scenario, especially, again, given that it will likely be appealed almost immediately. So, like I said, to prepare for these different outcomes, we've been talking to some external third parties, but we could also use some help from our members. And so ultimately, we're looking at two things. As I understand, Missouri is already a state that uses buyer representation agreements uniformly across the board. So thank you for that. That is extremely helpful. And then the other part is doing your part to tell our story and share these messages. I mean, you are the ones that are interacting with consumers most often, and so you have a direct line to them. You have an opportunity to explain to them the value that you provide, the value, again, of local broker marketplaces, and really what this is all about. And so then I also, like I said, I wanted to address the fact that there were a couple recent settlements that you might have seen some articles about. In the Burnett case, both Anywhere, formerly Realogy, right, and Remax have announced settlements. The details of those have not been released publicly, so we don't know the exact details of what that's going to be. Those are, again, subject to the court approval, so the judge could ask for clarification, could delay that, could deny it. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, I think the most important thing here is that it doesn't really change NAR's position on the litigation, and it doesn't change what we intend to present in court, basically. Just because they settled, and you'll see in the language of, if you were to look up the communications that they had put out about it, you would see that they don't acknowledge any wrongdoing. There's no, in agreeing to a settlement, there's really no determination on, again, that practice of listing brokers making offers to buyer brokers. So it doesn't ultimately change what's at stake in this case, and it doesn't really add weight to one side or the other. Again, commentators and media might try and spin it a different way, but that's really the reality of the impact of those. And also, I'll call out there, I had MLS PIN. For those who had seen that settlement a while back, I mean, same situation there. It ultimately doesn't change what NAR intends to present in court. And really, the settlement, again, if you go into that, doesn't get into the legality of that practice. It just basically is them trying to put it behind them and move forward. Whereas NAR wants to solve this issue for all members and for everybody involved, so that we have a definitive result here. So let's talk about impact a little bit and what this means for consumers, brokerages, MLSs. For consumers, if the plaintiffs were to be successful, if there no longer were offers of compensation, ultimately we see that as a really negative outcome for consumers for quite a number of reasons. Again, you all understand how this model works, but things like a weakened protections for consumers, an erosion of equal access to listings, decreased efficiency in buying and selling their homes. There are a number of ways that this would be worse for consumers. If we look at how this would potentially decrease the listings available to them. So really, it's, if this comes up with consumers, it's also, like I said, it's not something that folks outside of the real estate industry are particularly aware of or likely to understand that much. But if you were to get questions about it, again, we'll get into some resources, but these are the kinds of negative impacts that we're talking about. Ultimately, and the worst part would be if there is a question about them being able to afford both the home purchase itself and professional representation, right? Because if they were suddenly to have, if a buyer at least were suddenly to have to pay their own agent out of their own pocket, now there's the question of can they afford to do that, and how does that impact their purchasing ability. On the MLS and brokerage side, okay, good change. We're looking at really how would the ability of NAR to set these rules impact your business. And I mean, for the most part, what we've seen is that it would impact our core mission of empowering you to best serve consumers. So if we are no longer able to set those kinds of rules, if that's what the court were to decide, then that would have a negative impact on competition, and it would also really, like we talked about, break up those markets. And as a consumer, if I come to you, I'd like to be able to see all the homes for sale in a given market, right? If you're only able to offer me some of them, that's going to, again, negatively impact, your ability to serve them best. And on the MLS side, there's then we talk about the incentive for participating in the MLS. If there's no longer if there are no longer those offers of compensation, then is there really an incentive to ultimately share your listings? So are there fewer participants in an MLS, and does that start to deteriorate and again go into the negative consumer aspects that we had talked about as well? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about then storytelling and your what you can do to help us out here. So there's 7 or so tips on here about what you can do to be a good storyteller. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will highlight a couple. Again, as I've noted, you all are the experts here. You have the connections with your clients. You talk to them directly. So when it comes to being authentic, I have seen just in the work that I have done to help communicate around the litigation, I've seen some of the stories that folks have sent in of how they have helped their clients through really difficult and challenging situations for both buying and selling. Those are really powerful stories. I'm sure you already make use of them when you're trying to work with consumers. But that, to me, that goes beyond, hey, I'll help you find the right house, or I'll help you figure out what the right price is, right? We've all been in those situations where when consumers finally start to pay attention and understand what this is like, what is the value that they are looking to get. And so being able to share your stories, be authentic to something that you have gone through, that you've experienced, will help them understand truly the value that you can provide. And then the other one I'll call out is showing, don't telling, show, don't tell, and that goes, again, kind of to the story that I was just talking about, or sharing your stories as I was just talking about. If you are able to show them more, with an actual experience that you have lived through, instead of just telling them, oh yeah, I heard about one time that this happened, but if you can walk them through the experience of what it was like when a deal almost fell through, or the extraordinary measures that you went through in order to make sure that a deal was able to take place, those are the kinds of things that will help them understand. And again, when you put it into the context of the value that you're providing, how the MLS works, that is what is going to help you resonate with them. So ultimately, that comes down to articulating the value proposition, right? So, I just talked about, how are you providing value besides helping them find the home? You can look at the different services that you're providing. How do you make a transaction go smoothly? And then also part of that value proposition is articulating the way that you get paid, right? So, it's not just telling them that that commissions are, if you're representing the buyer, it's not just telling them that commissions are taken care of by the seller, but really walking them through the process. Why is it beneficial that the listing broker has made an offer of compensation? How does that help them save money? To our point about being able to afford, both the home purchase and being able to afford the compensation as well. So then what can you do? A couple resources that we have available for you. Andrea called them out, or others have called them out a little bit, I think. But really it gets down to using your voice, obviously. And then we have some websites here. So competition.realtor is a good one to check out. We update that fairly regularly with new materials, new infographics. I can tell you just in the course of my work, there are quite a number of materials that are this close to being ready. And so as soon as they go out, they will go to association executives, they will go to communication directors, and a lot of them will also be posted onto that website so you can check them out. There's going to be an entire animation video that talks about a lot of the processes that we've just said, how commissions are paid, how they're negotiable, and why that is beneficial for consumers. So there are videos, infographics that you should check out on there. And then also I'll call out realestateCommissionFacts.com. That one was designed to help explain the entire commission process to consumers, again, going into the details of why it's beneficial for listing brokers to make offers to buyer brokers. Okay, and here again, examples of more of these screenshots from the sites, and you'll see updated language on there soon. So whatever's on there is good, but again, we will be making updates to this, again, more frequently as we head into the trial. And I think that's about it. Yep, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information. Again, if you have any questions or would like more information, you are going to be visiting realestateCommissionFacts.com or competition.realtor. Missouri Realtors, I see you. I see you out there shining your light, not just in these meetings, but back in your communities and in your local offices. And when we talk about the lawsuits and things like that, it can seem like it's a cloudy day in the forecast of real estate. And yet you are the ones who are shining your light back at your offices, being able to cheer on the fellow realtors who may only be seeing darkness in their real estate business with lack of inventory and things like that. So we are the light bringers and the information bringers back to our local markets. So we can make sure that we are lighting the path forward for people in this new horizon of real estate that we are walking into. And so sometimes when people are walking through scary places, they don't act in the best actions of realtors, right? Have we ever co-opted with someone who really was walking through a dark path and was really not helping our industry look great? Be that light for other people. Show them that there is a way forward, and by showing our value, by showing what we do within the transactions, the lawsuits and anything else that we're dealing with, we will outshine those. So thank you for what you do for our industry. Thank you for being here to take this information back to the people in your communities and the people that we serve. So we see you, Missouri Realtors. We see you and the light that you're shining. So thank you for that. I'd like to recognize a few distinguished members we have with us here this week. First, Missouri Realtors Leadership Academy class is with us for this week for their final retreat. Woo woo! They will graduate tomorrow during our annual meeting and award ceremony. Would the entire class please stand up? Please stand up. We are so glad to have you with us. As always, it is a pleasure for me to introduce our entire 2023 leadership team. Derek Schreiber, Bobby Howe, Brian Jared, Brianna Vanstrom, and we're saying hello virtually to our immediate past president, John Mayfield, who was not able to join us today, but we always want to be sure to recognize him along with the rest of the leadership team, who continuously go above and beyond to serve our members and our industry. All right, so you guys did really well with the first woot woot, so let's see if we can do it again. Who's excited for this week? Immediately following this session, please join us for the welcome reception in the Grand Lobby, beginning at 6 p.m. The Southwest Missouri Women's Council of Realtors will host the Boo and Booze Happy Hour, followed by the Missouri Women's Council of Realtors Mad Masquerade Costumes and Cocktails tonight. Wednesday is busy with governance meetings and educational opportunities, followed by the ever-popular Emerging Issues Forum. During this session, Peter Shravemaid, Managing Partner for Reach Australia, will share the latest developments in prop tech, including how the National Association of Realtors helps bring technology to market to help realtors and consumers. And at 2:15 p.m., the annual meeting and awards and Leadership Academy graduation will take place, followed by the candidate forum at 3:15 p.m. Before we conclude our program, I'd like to recognize our conference sponsors and exhibitors. Sponsors, please stand as I recognize you. Home Warranty, Inc., USA Mortgage, Form Simplicity, Tech Helpline, Realtor.com, and Greater Springfield Board of Realtors. Next, please stand if you are an exhibitor for our conference. All our exhibitors are listed on the screen. Thank you for being here with us this week. As you exit, you will receive a drink ticket. I encourage you to hang around for our welcome reception in the grand lobby. This is an excellent networking opportunity with our exhibitors and your fellow realtors. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.